you can edit out anything that's...
I can edit out anything.
Okay, cool.
Welcome, Liberation Tribe. I'm really excited today. We have a special guest. His name is Carolina Dow, originally from California, who has moved here to the Sacred Valley of Peru to do some really deep and important work that I want to share this message with you today. And maybe you can give us a little brief overview of what we speak of here, this kind of work that you're doing here in the valley.
In 2011 was the first time that I came to Peru. And I came to Peru to work with ayahuasca. I thought it would be the only time I was coming. I thought I was coming for 2 weeks and that would be it. And through the work, which we'll talk about more, I quickly realized that the message was for me to come to Peru and really be a part of sharing this medicine.
Yeah, beautiful. And you have some really amazing healing stories to share with us around not knowing if you'd ever have children and then working with these traditions, and now you have a beautiful baby, which maybe we'll get here on the camera here at the end here. Yeah? Yeah, beautiful. Wonderful. So why don't you tell us, actually let me do a little backstory. I was recently with Carolina, we were checking out a retreat center here in the valley. So we both have these visions of sharing this work deeper with other people that we care about. So Carolina and I were riding together to see this beautiful, beautiful retreat center that's really nestled in the foothills up here of the Andes Mountains, a really secluded place. And you'd be hosting a retreat there later this year, right?
In May.
In May,
yeah.
Beautiful. And will this be for women?
This will be a women's retreat.
Women's retreat.
And I'll be teaming up with a really beautiful sister of mine, Naomi, here, who's also worked very deeply in the same tradition with the medicine. And and our vision is to hold the space for women.
Okay. So can you just tell us, how did you come to this medicine? When we speak of the ayahuasca, how did you get here?
From a very young age, I'm a seeker, I guess. Yeah, I started different traditions, meditation, yoga, different practices, trying to get to the root of some of the things that I knew I was carrying in my life. And in 2010, it kind of all collapsed down, and it became inevitable that I needed to really go into deep work. My mom unexpectedly passed away. She had cancer 2 years before, and...
What kind of cancer?
Breast cancer. And my mom was very much in the traditional Western medicine model. At the time when she was diagnosed with cancer, it didn't feel for her the space that she was going to all of a sudden explore alternative practices. And so she had chemotherapy, and it was very hard on her body. And so 2 years later, she passed away unexpectedly. For my belief, it was the damage from the radiation and the chemo being so strong on her organs. And so losing my mother was this huge blow. And then about a month later, I separated from my husband, who I had been with for 10 years, from the time that I was 19 to 29.
How long after that?
A month after my mom passed away.
So your mom passed away from breast cancer.
Yeah.
Then a month later, you separated from a decade-long marriage. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was huge. It was the two people that had been closest in my life. Also the two people who probably challenged me the most in my life. And that I needed to have a lot of healing around both these relationships. And so I had my first ceremony. There is a shaman that was coming to the Malibu area in California. And I was supposed to go to the ceremony with my friend, and last minute she was sick, and I felt so strongly that I had to go. I was really nervous driving there by myself. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And this ceremony was still one of the most beautiful experiences. I literally cried the entire time. Not even really in pain or anything like this. Just I realized I'd found my teacher, and it was...
When you say teacher,
yeah,
Are you referring to the shaman or the plant medicine?
The plant medicine.
Yeah.
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 I knew that I was stepping onto a path that was going to be a long process, but that was going to enable me to really release some of these things. What I'd found in a lot of the practices I'd worked with before was that things would come up, and I was really aware of all my stuff. It was like right in my face.
Give
but
us an
I
example.
couldn't actually let
Give
it go.
us an example of some of your stuff, just so we can share.
Yeah. I had a lot of alcoholism that surrounded me through my parents and through my ex-husband. And I actually had done some work with Al-Anon with support for this. But a lot of people who come from these type of backgrounds tend to be really controlling, and really there's a lot of fear around being safe. And I was really controlling. I was like very, very controlling. I had about 10 ceremonies before I ever purged, just because I was like in such a knot. It took a while to get through it. But I hated these things about myself. I'd watch my behavior. I'd watch the way that things had to be my way, or, in my time. And I hated this about myself. I wanted to just relax and be an easygoing person, be someone that could just enjoy.
So the medicine helped show you your own ways that you were controlling in your own life.
I knew them. I just couldn't figure out how to get it out. I couldn't figure out how to move through this, that, it was this constant thing of just seeing it, but not being able to let it go.
Yeah. And we come from these families whose generations, those patterns, they're like these, there are these patterns that are just stuck.
And they're locked.
Yeah.
They're really stuck in there. And so this first ceremony, I just wept and wept and wept, knowing that I felt for real that I was going to be able to finally start to really move through these things and really return to my truth, to my real joy, to my real light.
So would you say that last sentence there is what you're offering for the women that want to continue to do this work?
Absolutely.
To release these family patterns, to release these habits that continue to create suffering in our lives, that aren't in resonance with our core vibration, so we can return back to our truth and our joy.
Absolutely. Yeah. For me, this medicine it's a path of coming into our hearts, bringing the energy down from these games we play with our mind, from fear, from all of these things, and really connecting with our heart. And it took me a while in this journey with the medicine to really feel the difference of when my heart was guiding me and when my mind was guiding me. And to come into this sense of empowerment and trust. Trust has been a huge, huge part of this for me, is really trusting that I'm being guided, that I'm taken care of, and to listen to this guidance when it comes. Because most of us, something inspires us and we want to, say we want to change our career, something else is really calling us. Most of us go into, am I going to have enough money? Am I going to survive this? What if it doesn't work out? All of these things. And this is our mind, this is our mind weighing out the options and playing these games with us. And a lot of people don't then follow where the guidance is taking them out of fear. And going into this survival mode. And this is something I feel that the plants can really help us. It can help us to really listen to that and to really follow what we came here for.
So there's a lot of prophecy being told from many different traditions, and especially kind of in the New Age circles. We speak of this transition from a world dominated by fear to a world in which we learn to live by love. And in many ways, there's a sense of, oh, that sounds true. I understand that. And in other ways, it sounds like complete and total, BS. This is like, we can't do this, But what you're speaking of is a tool and a way to actually make that transition into this new consciousness, this heart-based consciousness.
Yeah. And I'm living proof of it. When I came to the medicine, I was running a small healing center in Santa Monica where we did colon hydrotherapy and nutritional consultations. We produced a line of fermented foods. I had a whole life really established. I was making a lot of money. I was
It's a big industry.
Set. I had a huge clientele. And when I came to Peru, I saw that, okay, you have all this money, you have this success. I saw that my life from the outside to other people looked really good and really perfect. But there was a big black hole inside of me that wasn't being fulfilled. And when I came home, it was very clear that it was time to let that go and to go in a different direction. And, you know, people say to me all the time, you're so courageous that you did this. In the moment, I don't even remember having an option. And, you know, it felt so strong in my heart that I had to do it, you know. So I did. And I went home, and it took me 6 months, and I separated everything. I sold the business, and it brought me to Peru, where I met my beautiful, amazing partner. So
you were living in California.
Yeah.
Successful business in this sort of, in the healing kind of world. Lots of money in that, in the natural healing.
Yeah.
Very successful. And then your life blows up.
Yeah.
Your mother passes away, leaving a marriage.
Yeah.
And you decide to sell everything and come to the jungle?
Yeah.
In Peru? Okay, tell us about the jungle.
Insane. People thought I was losing my mind, but, you know, now my life would be nothing of what it is if I hadn't followed that, if I hadn't really listened to that guidance. You know? So my partner's from Australia, so there was no reason why we ever would have met had we not both been called to come to the jungle.
And wait till you meet this beautiful man.
This beautiful man.
Anyway.
So the jungle. Yeah, so when I decided that I was going to come to, I felt after I drank in California a few times, I felt really strongly to come to where this plant comes from. I really wanted to connect with the indigenous culture and to really learn from people who have come from a lineage of healers and people who have connected with this medicine. And so I knew I was going to come to Peru and started doing research. And I was drawn to the Temple of the Way of Light because there are both maestros and maestras working there.
And what does that mean to our listeners?
Yeah, so maestra means teacher in Spanish. And so maestra is the feminine, maestro is the masculine. Okay. And so having both of them, I felt really called to work with the women, really, you know, to have this exchange with abuelitas, with, you know, grandmothers, with this knowledge.
So you had this life-altering experience in the U.S. with this tradition that was tied to something you knew was deeper. Yeah. And you're just like, I've got to go figure. I want to know more. Yeah.
I want to see. So I went for the Temple of the Way of Light. Has a lot of different people can stay for more long term. They can go for short term.
And that's in the jungle outside of Iquitos?
Outside of Iquitos, yeah. And I hadn't gone on vacation in forever. I was running these businesses. I couldn't get away, but it was like, no, I'm going to create these 12 days for myself.
And how did you find this place? I mean, there's many places to go, and ayahuasca tourism has become so popular, and there's a lot of danger associated with traveling, especially for women. Yeah. So how did you select this place?
It is probably one of the most established ayahuasca centers in the jungle. And a friend of ours had gone. I traveled down there with another friend. And so it came on recommendation, and why not? We didn't know what we were doing.
And that's important, right? We want to get that message across. Any place that you go, it's important to understand.
It's important to do your research. Matthew, who owns the center, I actually wrote to him because being a busy LA woman, I said, is there any way I can just come for a week? Because, you know, I got things to do. And he wrote me back this really beautiful email that I'll always remember, explaining their intention of the work and why it was set up the way that it was set up, that you're there for 12 days, that you do 7 ceremonies, that, you know, and I was really touched by his message. And it felt very like, okay, this is where I'll go then. So they're working with Shipibo maestros and maestras, and this is the lineage that I started really with, that I really dove deep into this medicine with, and still to this day, after experiencing lots of different types of ceremonies, it still feels the strongest for me.
And this is the tradition from the Shipibo lineage?
Yeah.
Okay. What is unique about this? What is more characteristic?
With the Shipibo, they do dieta. A lot of different traditions do dieta as well, but this is where they receive their Icaros.
A dieta is a diet with a plant?
With other plants, yeah. So not with, you can diet ayahuasca as well. There is a dieta to do with ayahuasca, but they diet different plants, different trees, and through these dietas, they receive their different types of teachings from these different plants. And so through their Icaros, they're singing to these plants. So when you're in a ceremony with them, you're not just working with ayahuasca, you're working with all of the plants that they have a connection with, that they can call to clean the space, to pull energies out of you, to release blockages. And with dieta, it's different from, people will speak about a dieta with ayahuasca, and this is mostly just, we're not eating fried food, we're not eating spicy food, we're not eating salt. But dieta with other plants is usually, they can be as short as 2 weeks, but some of them have done dietas for a year or more. And I also have experience doing dietas in the jungle, and it's a very different process. The work that would happen for me in ayahuasca ceremonies would sometimes be it was like in one ceremony, something just fully shifts and everything in your life is different. With the dieta, it was always much slower for me. It was a day in, day out journey of connecting with a plant. And these plants work a lot with you in your dreams. Your dreams are very strong during dieta. And what's really different with the Shipibo as well is that in ceremony, they sing to you directly. So in the temple, they work with a lot of healers. There was at least 3 maestras, and you would receive 6 Icaros specifically for you each ceremony. So without this work, I don't feel like I would be where I'm at today with this medicine.
So the Icaro, can you speak more about this? Just for those of us who don't understand this world at all, you're speaking about dieta, calling in these plants, and Icaros. Can you help us understand, build a bridge for us?
So the Icaros are sung in Shipibo, and they're natural. Sometimes there's words in Spanish, but mostly in Shipibo.
Which is this really sort of primitive language, right? It's a lot of just sounds.
It's a very complicated language, in my opinion, after living with them for a couple of years. And pretty much I can say good morning, good night, and are you hungry, but it would have a similarity to the Quechua language here. It's a very indigenous language. It's very hard for us to say some of the words.
Okay.
But the Icaros, and I had the experience for me, not coming in Shipibo because I don't speak in Shipibo, but receiving these songs from the plants. It comes as a melody, and for them, they speak Shipibo, so it's through they all have these very different Icaros, and a lot of times with Shipibo, they won't sing them exactly the same, but it's a melody that they've received from the plant, and that connects them to this plant when they're singing it. So a lot of times you'll hear them say the names of specific plants in their Icaros. And they're using this to really protect the space, to call in this energy, to really help to heal. And this is something that as we were speaking earlier about, as of the different types of ceremonies that happen, and this energy that they bring, from my experience, is really one that really holds the space, really protects the space. You can feel the presence of these plants there with you.
So really what I understand is that they're invoking the energy, the spirit, in other words, of these plants through the sacred vibration. Exactly. So their voices are a carrier. So through the voice, they're actually to carry the vibration. That vibration is a word or melody that's actually been given to them from the spirit or energy of that plant to begin with.
Exactly.
So when they're just re-invoking that, they're calling that energy into the room to work with as a helper. They're like their guides. It's like a team of healers coming through them, you know, and this is they're just
for me, it's not about them specifically, you know, it's they're just, they just hold this energy that's allowed to pass through. Yeah. Which is why they're called maestros, and maestros are teachers, you know.
Because they've spent a lot of time, many years cleaning their channel so they can be of service to that space.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is why it's important, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear ones of the Liberation Tribe, when you are seeking facilitator for this type of experience, to really look at the experience and the integrity of the person who's facilitating. Because the space can actually only hold the depth of where this facilitator has gone in their experience. Yeah.
And then in addition to that, so my work at the temple for me began with my own healing journey there. It really began with me going through a lot of ceremonies, doing a lot of dieta.
So did you go on the organized retreat first and then eventually move down?
Yeah, and then I went down to do a volunteer kind of work exchange where I helped work at the temple, and then in exchange got to do more and more workshops that they call them, where you go through these 7 ceremonies in 12 days. So, I mean, I've drank, I don't even know, hundreds of times.
Hundreds of times.
But once I was there for a longer period of time, they asked me to start to facilitate. So at the temple, the way that they run it is that there's the healers, but then there's also a facilitator that speaks English that's there to share their experience with the medicine. So through this process, hundreds of people came through, you know, just retreats after retreats. And this really expanded my understanding of the plants. It no longer was just my relationship of what I had received. It was being witness to people coming with all different types of reasons, all different types of intentions for working with the medicine, and seeing how the plants really work with each person individually, depending on what it is that you're bringing. So people would come and say, what am I going to experience? And I would say, I have no idea. It totally is going to depend on what it is that you need to heal, you know, and every ceremony is different. You know, there's a lot of people that you'll meet that did one ayahuasca ceremony and it was really hard, and that was it for them. And it's not my medicine, you know.
Not my path,
and, yeah,
not my way, not my spoke in the wheel.
It hurts my heart, because if they really had this support of really strong healers, and also, you know, if those healers don't speak the language that they speak, that they also have the strong support of someone else that has the experience with the plants. Because every ceremony, and really I can say this after hundreds of ceremonies, that it can always be different, and it can surprise you. You know, you can be having really nice ceremonies that are really, you feel so connected and strong with this plant, and then she'll knock you down and you're like, oh, no more. You know, a lot of people say, I'm done, you know, and it's a beautiful, beautiful journey when you can find that courage within yourself to just keep getting back up, you know. And when life knocks us down, do we just stay down, or we keep coming back, you know? And when we can do that, the walls can come down. We can really go into finding our truth, really. Why did we come here? Why did our soul decide to come down into this body and be on the planet at this time? Yeah.
I can't tell you how many ceremonies I've been in where I know I'm just, my head's in a bucket, I'm purging, you know, releasing all kinds of repressed emotions, psychological toxins, and just thinking, I'm never doing this again. I'm good. You know, I haven't drank as many of you have, but I'm good after this one, you know? And then healing happens. You come out the other side with this sense of a miracle unfolding in front of your eyes, and what has been released, and the change that's actually happened instantaneously. And even though the ride can be a little bumpy, you know, for me, I've always come out the other side in so much deep gratitude, because it's shown me, you know, we speak of, we are these beings, we come to this earth, and to know why, depending on where you're born, your circumstance, all of these things, some of us are we're more apt or more able to be in touch with what that really is, that truth. But for some of us that are born in really chaotic, maybe city environments, or just depending where you are, depending on the abuse that's in the family, to never have to have so much pollution emotionally, psychologically, that you never get that chance to really find out what your truth is. And this is a beautiful path to be able to find that again.
It's a beautiful path for this. This medicine can rapidly make change in your life. And this is the thing that I see. I mean, I would watch people after 7 ceremonies in 12 days be like completely different people. It's still just the beginning of the work. You know, this is the other thing too. People say, well, why do you drink why so many times? Like, what are you trying to get to, you know? Now it's much different for me. My first year of drinking was a lot. It was everything that I had carried up until that point. So everything, you know, going back into memories of my childhood and things that, you know, it's amazing.
All family of origin stuff, this lifetime and whatever has been carried on.
And I mean, it's amazing. Like, you know, I would always have this memory of when I was like in kindergarten and these girls were really mean to me and how much that really like made me feel like I was not good enough and all of this. It can be these simple little things that then change the way we behave for our whole life, you know, and it's like
these imprints at such a young age will continue to grow.
Really. Yeah. And so yeah, it's really a way of just rapidly releasing. And for me now, my work with the medicine is very, very rare that I have to go into past things anymore. It's now my relationship with her is about guidance for the present moment and for our lives, for which direction we keep going in. And it's a constant tool for cleaning out what we don't need to carry anymore.
So this piece right here, the not needing to really carry anymore. So can we speak more about this beautiful being that you've brought into this world and who you brought it into with, how you met your husband, your partner? Yeah.
So after my 10-year relationship that was very hectic, I kind of decided I would rather be alone than be in a relationship that's not what I know it should be in my heart. And I was really in a space of doing my own work, and I'd gone on a break to the States and was coming back to the jungle, and this was when I was actually going into my first dietas where I would be in solitude and a tambo. And as I was walking in, my beautiful partner that we got, his name's Pete, but he goes by Pedro here because none of the Shipibo people could say Pete. They always call him P. So he was like, Peter, and Pedrito.
Pedrito.
He's Pedro. He was actually walking out on the path from the jungle as I was coming in, and we actually met there the first time. And then for the first month or so, I was not out very much, so we didn't really cross paths. But then yeah, it was one of these things. He was supposed to be leaving. His time was done. He ended up staying because, of course, he was working on a music project. And we ended up in a workshop together where we went through 7 ceremonies in this intensive together. And at first, I really just felt like he was like my brother. He was going to be like a lifelong friend. We really had such a nice connection. And as the time just passed in these ceremonies, it was really a unique thing in this work that's very much about going into yourself, and that I was falling in love with this person in the ceremony with me. So yeah, it was pretty much in the same night though that we both just the medicine pretty much sat us down and said, okay, wake up, there's your partner. So
did you both sort of have that realization in the same ceremony?
Yeah.
Which I'm discovering this is becoming more common, is when two potential partners are sitting in ceremony together, there can be this revelation at the same time.
The plants love to show you these things.
You came for prophecy, here's some prophecy for you. You were looking for real love, here's real love.
Yeah, exactly. The ceremony ended and I went over and said, are you in a place to talk? Can we talk for a minute? And he was like, yeah, we should talk. So yeah, it was very clear. And it was just like, from that moment, it was just, there was no question that this is the person that I had been, waiting to connect with. And so, yeah, so he had no intention of staying in the jungle, but I was staying. So we made lots of changes in our plans and ended up being in the jungle I'm not really sure how long. I think he stayed for about a year before we before our little angel Ayana started to show herself to us. So yeah, shortly after I met Pedro, for about 7 years, I didn't have my moon cycle at all. It suddenly disappeared.
Okay, there's probably some guys or some that are watching that are going, what's a moon cycle?
So, my menstrual cycle, my period.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You didn't have it for how long?
For nearly 7 years. For 5 years, I didn't have any moon cycle at all. And for another 2 years, I would just randomly have my moon cycle.
And you're someone in the health industry. You've kind of got your things.
I probably spent over $20,000 in LA going to different health practitioners. Western medical doctors just wanted me to go back on birth control pills. That's what that was their solution.
Oh, here's a man knows how to regulate your hormones. We got it right here.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, I don't have a birth control pill deficiency, so what's the deal? So that didn't feel like the answer to me. Okay. So I really just started active. I mean, I went to all types of healers and energy work and supplements and herbs.
Everything you could try.
Everything I could try. And I wasn't getting anywhere, and it was getting really frustrating for me. And I actually, my thyroid started just really shutting down. I was about 40 pounds heavier. I was really miserable. I was really it was getting to the point that when I would wake up in the morning, my hips really hurt. It was like, I felt like I was dying. It was really, really a very hard time in my life. I was very depressed. I was owning this health center, and I looked like I was disintegrating. So I ended up working with an herbalist in the States that uncovered that I was being exposed to black mold in my house, and that it was from a fungal thing. So when I moved from this house, I started losing weight, and then my moon cycle, because this was after 5 years of not having it, I had a moon cycle. But it still wasn't regular. There was still something else happening.
Step 1, move out of house with black mold.
Yeah, step 1.
Okay. Step 2.
Step 2.
Here we go.
Yeah. So then with the work, with the medicine, I mean, there were times that I just felt like I let it go, and it was just like, I felt like that was the message that was coming to me, was just let it go, and whatever, and then times where I felt like I was really trying to understand what was happening. But what I would actually find was when I was drinking a lot of ayahuasca, if I would get a period, it seemed like it was making it go away more. And I was kind of in this thing with her where I was like, okay, I know you're helping me in so many ways, but it kind of feels like you're not helping in this way for me. And so it was a lot of questioning about this. And it was after I completed my first dieta that I would be sitting in ceremony, and I could actually see the plant spirits in the ceremony. I hope that doesn't sound too out there to people, but I could actually see them as though they were beings in the ceremony. And we work a lot with mapacho in the Shipibo tradition, which is a raw tobacco that grows in the jungle. It's typically not inhaled. It's a very strong tobacco, but it's used to clean. It's used for protection. It's a very strong tool that we work with in ceremony. And I would see these spirits bringing me mapacho and putting it in my mouth and lighting it, and as if I could see like I was smoking, but I wasn't. And at first I thought, okay, it's just a gift. It's an offering, tobacco is used as an offering. Just didn't think much of it. And then even when I would be outside of ceremony, as I was falling asleep at night, in that last space before I would just slip into my sleep, I would see smoke around me. And just kept happening. And it really, this whole process was such a beautiful journey of really listening. It taught me the language of the plants can be very subtle and mysterious. And I could have just let it go. I could have just brushed it off. But something, just was really teaching me to listen. And I spoke with my maestro. And I told him, I feel like mapacho is trying to tell me something. I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's trying to tell me something. And I explained this to him. And he said, yeah, okay, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to drink the juice of mapacho. He told me,
which I've done, and it's really, really horrible.
It's really horrible. Although I had no idea. So yeah, he instructed me how I would prepare it, which is actually really, and this is even interesting because normally they would prepare it for you. They would sing an Icaro to the medicine. And I know now that it was by my own intuition of how I was going to prepare this, that was part of why it worked, why it was going to help me heal. It was me deciding how much and, you know, how long to let it steep for, all these things. So I was going to drink 3 times with 2 nights off in between. And this maestro that I was working with, he's very, he never had a maestro. He taught himself through the plants. So he can be very vague. Like he'll say, what is this for? And he'll just be like, it's for this, you know, and he doesn't like to give you a lot of information. He likes you to experience it for yourself. So he gives me these instructions and says, just don't do it while you're working. Do it. Okay. I had no idea what I was getting myself into really with it. And I won't go into the whole explanation of it, but basically through the first night in my dreams, I received a huge healing from this plant.
And this was in your dream?
In my dream.
So you drank it?
I drank it. I went to sleep. I woke up a couple hours later, really
like in it.
Feeling this medicine.
Yeah, that's what happened to me too. It's just the most
really
intense dream you could.
Strong.
Yeah.
And I was just saying to myself, just go to sleep. And whether I closed my eyes or opened them, I saw the jungle. It was like as if I felt like I was dissolving. Which was like, okay, what's happening? You know. So, but in my dream, I saw this thing being extracted from me, basically. I won't go into the whole details of it, but in the morning, I was like, as if I had been cut open. I was in pure cramps in my, like I was going to get my period, and I was just sitting with it. You know, I really felt like I could barely walk. It was really intense. And then I had these 2 days to recover. So the second day I thought, okay, something's really happening here. I was really looking forward to this. And this night was very hard. It was every ounce of stress I felt like I had ever had in my life. Just like waking up to feeling like alarm clocks were going off, ringing in my ears, and feeling the bed was shaking when it wasn't, you know, like just waking up in these startles. And it was a really hard night. But what it ultimately revealed to me through drinking this was that there was some sort of virus in my body that was attacking my ovaries, that was affecting my ovaries. And this was
not a virus that Western medicine could identify.
I guess not, because they didn't.
Right.
And I don't totally know what it was, you know, but it showed me that this was the stress in these dreams, because viruses, they come up and down. Yeah, they get kicked up with stress, and then they go in dormant. So it was like this was the energy attached to it. And after the third experience of drinking the mapacho, the next day I ovulated, which was the first time that I really was like, oh, that's what it means to ovulate. That hasn't happened in like 7 years. And I had my moon cycle every 28 days after that. And I went into just this deepest space of gratitude, of really feeling like everything that we need is provided for us here. It all comes from the earth, really connecting to Pachamama and giving my absolute gratitude, you know. And sometimes, most times, when we are healing naturally and we're really going to the core of things, it takes longer. A lot of people turn to Western medicine and to medications and drugs because it's a faster relief but is it actually healing us? Is it actually going to the core of it, or is it just covering up what's really there? And also seeing with ayahuasca that she was bringing this virus up a lot, and so it was bringing it to the surface, which would make me not have my moon cycle. But she wasn't the plant to actually help me to release it. But through her, she was showing me mapacho, you know. So it was like then seeing the gratitude in this medicine even deeper, you know. It was a really beautiful time, and I know that it all correlated with me meeting my beautiful partner, and that it was time for this to heal so that we could bring in our beautiful daughter. So
the spirit of the mapacho came to you, like in your visions, your dreams, or the in-between, and then you just knew you needed to communicate more. Yeah. And then, miracle.
So yeah, I mean, I've only had I had a moon cycle for 1 year before I got pregnant. So when when we
So did you
knew...
get pregnant in the jungle?
No, we were just out. We just left the jungle. We just left the jungle, but it was actually after visiting here. We had come on a break from the jungle to this beautiful mountains in this beautiful sacred valley, and we had a ceremony here, and we connected with this amazing, amazing community that resides here. It's really beautiful, and it really touched us. We really just felt this really beautiful thing happening here, and I remember
the magic of Pisac.
Yeah.
Yes, the magic of the Sacred Valley. Yes.
Place. We went back to the jungle, and it was the first time that I felt like I didn't feel so called to be in the jungle anymore. And I remember I said to Pedro, let's move to Pisac and have a baby. That's what I feel like is next for us. And it's pretty much what was next for us. It was really showing that was the next part of our journey. I mean, the jungle is my heartbeat. It's my pulse. I love the jungle. There's for me, it's a very special part of my life, and it will continue to be. But with our daughter, it feels to be in this really beautiful community, and also, without some of the intensity of the jungle here, it's a little bit nicer place for a baby to grow up. So
tell us how you have this vision you have of bridging these two worlds. This jungle, which is really raw, and has provided so much healing for you, is really connected to the lineage and the tradition, the maestros, and also here, what's offered in the valley, the peace and the magic, and what's offered here. How do you? What is your vision? What is your invitation to those who may find us and this message?
Yeah, it really came about. One of the maestros that we had worked with in the jungle, she came here to hold some ceremonies, and when we heard she was here, we just immediately
here in the valley.
Yeah, we immediately were like, we have to go and drink with her. And in that ceremony, it was such a beautiful thing for us, because we felt her coming with all of her jungle, all of her plants of the jungle, all of that energy. But then being held in this space of the mountains, which is just these mountains, because you're here. But I don't know how do you explain this to people? They're like these big, strong force. It's much more grounded. It's much more in really this feeling of being held. Yeah. But also
like these mountains
very
hold
strong
us in this
mirrors
container
as well. Yeah, I feel like they really hold you like in this space where you have to constantly look at yourself, because they're such strong reflections of everything. And the stillness
and the internet's really slow, so there's not much distraction from Facebook and the outside world, so you're pretty much stuck with dealing with your stuff.
And the stillness, though, when we first moved here from the jungle, the quiet, like, was making me feel really weird, because I would wake up every morning to like 1,000 birds, and this, the Amazon is so alive. It's just like constant, and whereas here, it's just like sometimes you just hear like one bird, and it's just this stillness. That I think is really beautiful, and I think that there is something really beautiful that can come from this space of bringing Shipibo Maestra here into this stillness. I think that it's really a space that can really open up for people. And the jungle's not for everybody. Yeah, some people aren't gonna trek for a mile in the mud, and with bugs and all these things. So
this is sort of building a bridge to bring a maestro here, to hold an event, a retreat here, and to bring the maestro here as this sort of bridge between the Western world, which is what it is, and everybody has different living circumstances, but coming here, sort of that midway point where it's peaceful, you have access to kind of most amenities that most of us are used to, and then here you are presenting us with this amazing experience.
And this is a new thing that's evolving for me now. It felt for this last year very much that my focus and my attention was to be in... This is Peru.
Message from the cornfield. Please wait.
Let's go, everybody. very much this last year for me has been about becoming a mother and going through this process of pregnancy and really resting in that space. I'd given so much for other people for a really long time that it was.
And you
really,
did a home birth here.
Yeah.
Home birth here in this house.
Yeah, our little daughter's Peruvian. And this journey through pregnancy for me was a 9-month ceremony. It was coming into different angles of things that I needed to heal with my own mother, that the plants had shown me a lot, and this was a whole nother angle. So it was really this time for me to go deeper within myself and within what it meant to become a mother. And now that she's here, I really feel like this is part of her contract, was to come into a world with parents that walk this path with working with these different plants. And it's just, the message has been coming for me now to share this work with people again, and to really hold the space for people to go deep. And this is something that we really want to provide in these retreats for women, is that they feel safe. It's such an important thing when you're doing this work, because you're so vulnerable, you're so raw, that you need to feel like you're safe and you're supported, and that someone's going to have your back no matter where these plants take you. And
someone there like yourself who's been there, who's been in the depth of this other world, which to most of us this is another world and can be completely terrifying, because we don't know what we're opening up and we don't know what we're going to get exposed to. There's some elections going on. Yes. And to have someone like you who's come from both worlds to build a bridge. Yeah.
And this is really, it's like I'd shared with you before, my beginning work with this medicine was very hard. There was a lot of pain that I needed to heal and a lot of things I needed to let go of. And so through that, I feel like I have really a gift to offer to people who are also going through something that's really deep and really hard, and that I'm living proof of what can come through the other end of it. So,
and we'll put information below the video for everyone to find if you're interested in more details about the retreat experiences that should be offering. You said you might want to do 4 of these a year, maybe. We're
planning to do 4. Both Naomi and I are both moms, so we're trying to figure out how to find the balance of sharing this with being moms as well. So we're looking at about 4 a year. And maybe it will expand. Maybe we will do some in the jungle for people who want that experience of being in the jungle. But we're starting with this one in May, here, working with a maestra that is really special to me. And she was actually in the ceremonies where Pedro and I were falling in love. So she's been a part of my my journey. So,
beautiful. Beautiful. I think it's about time we bring that baby out here.
Yeah. Let's bring the baby out. Grab her. And this is our beautiful little daughter, Ayana. Our beautiful little miracle child. Do you want to dance, Ayana? You want to do a little dance?
Yeah, something for the folks back home.
Very nice munch.
Ayana.
Om Bhurva Swaha Tatsavitu Varenyam Vargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodaya.
Are you happy, girl?
Tatsavitu
Our precious little girl. And my precious, beautiful partner.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're gonna be on camera. God, it's so hard to
Thank
look
you
at
to you both, beautiful beings. Thank you. And we'll just sign off to the Liberation Tribe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.